If you want your country prosper, go plant more nutmeg and banana.
Hi there, I am Mike Noel. Welcome to the Nutmeg Tree. On today's program, we welcome Mathias Joseph of the Grenada Cocoa Association on joint extension services between Cocoa and Nutmeg Association.
We are talking about a special subject this morning where the cocoa and the nutmeg are working together. We talk in the field, joint extension service. But Mathias, when we spoke the last time, we spoke on the subject of joint extension, cocoa and nutmeg. Can you tell me, since we spoke, how things are progressing in that area?
Good morning, Mike, and good morning, farmers. On the 1st of August, the amalgamation of the extension services between the Grenada Cooperative Nutmeg Association and the Grenada Cocoa Association came into being, and there are 5 officers still on the job. We have not moved into vacation or anything, and we moving speedily, visiting both cocoa and nutmeg farmers. Extension, as you know, Mike, is not a single thing. The extension officer has to have information on cocoa, nutmeg, banana, peas, corn, but be it as it may, both of the association had their own extension system, and they saw wisdom in coming together. So, and I guess it's merely because farmers have been saying, well, I don't see an extension officer, or I don't know who is my extension officer. So we sort of pair off as to north, south, east, west, and in that sense, and the 4 of us at the moment. So the south, that is St. David's and St. George's, is handled by Mr. Kenroy Futo. The west, St. Mark's and St. John's, has been handled by Mr. Wayne James. The whole of St. Andrews is handled by Mr. Michael Haynes, and St. Patrick's is handled by Mathias Joseph. So we try every visit, it would either be to a cocoa farmer or a nutmeg farmer, or a farmer who has both cocoa and nutmeg, which we call a mixed farm. So what we do, we share information on the technology as to what to do at this time of year, both crops, and we schedule our work pattern in such a way that we would go to fields that are pure stand cocoa fields or pure stand nutmeg fields. And if we didn't meet the farmer, we engage the farmer later by telephone, letting him know that we visit, what observations we would make in the field. We spend some time trying to help the farmer to maximize his profit in terms of, because many farmers have problem with things like predialasini. So we try to cop that, meet with the police farm watch people who engage in that area. We would have discussions with them, try to meet the farmers and help the farmers in terms of regularizing the business in terms of the cocoa book or cocoa card. So we would visit and see if what the farmer is bringing in is really nutmeg from his farm, because, you know, the scripture says thou shalt not steal, Mike. So we have to ensure that that farmers are getting that kind of benefit. Some of the spin-offs to is that in the past, Mr. Haynes alone would have had to visit nutmeg farmers throughout the island to make sure they had to get a cocoa card or whatever. But because of this amalgamation, if there is, wherever it is in the various locations, the officer would handle that. So that eases up some of the burden on Mr. Haynes. So we're well into that, and we, from where I speak at the moment, it's a positive vibes for extension in that it brings fulfillment, that you visit a farmer and you are able to deal with both of his problems, cocoa or nutmeg.
How farmers responding to you all?
Well, farmers would say, well, this thing should have happened long. And I guess in the sense that they only see it at the level of the officer visiting. But I guess when it comes to amalgamating the associations now, they don't like that, because the farmer would like to go to a cocoa meeting or a nutmeg meeting. But some farmers are saying, why we don't have one area meeting where the cocoa and the nutmeg can discuss the business? But farmers are generally responding well to the fact that cocoa and nutmeg have seen wisdom and come together and able to do something positively for them.
You remember the last time we spoke, what we had zeroed on?
What we had zeroed on what the farmer should look like. It was, when we spoke, it was the rainy season. So we asked farmers to make sure that they reduce the shade so that light could come in, so that you don't have the buildup of both fungus for the same Phytophthora that affect cocoa except nutmeg. Mr. Courtney shared that with us just the Phytophthora that cause, there's root rot in nutmeg, cause maybe black pod in cocoa. So as we work together, we're learning what, how how to put the package together for that. So we said to farmers then, make sure you reduce the light. Now we could say to farmers, because the dry season is here now, Mike, in February. And this whole thing about climate change is doing a lot of wonders that you have to, I might say something to you this week and next week something drastically happen. For the last 3 weeks, we had a relatively good sun. Only last night a lot of rainfall. So somebody might ask me, what you're talking about dry season and the rain is falling. But every season have its off. So it means that we're well into the dry season. The kind of sun we're getting. So farmers need to mulch their young plants, both cocoa and nutmeg. Farmers need to apply the fertilizer if they still have it. Farmers need to harvest their cocoa to clean off the trees and make sure that you don't have black pods or you don't leave dry pods on the tree. And all rodent pods, farmers need to take them down. And if you're not sure, you contact your extension officer. So you can call the Cocoa Association at 440-2933 or GCNA at 440-2117. Yeah.
Tell me how important is quality as far as the nutmeg and the cocoa is concerned. Because when you're exporting everything to the overseas market, right? So I assume that quality is very significant. How are you getting the cooperation from the farmers as far as keeping the quality up?
Yes, farmers, there's some improvement, I would say. Like in the past, farmers would have fight to have this overripe, half-ripe powder cocoa, which doesn't format well and is like what we call an extra strong bean. Right. But now farmers generally are waiting let the cocoa ripe and harvest the ripe pods, or even the influx, the heavy downpour of cocoa doesn't allow a farmer now to pick a half-ripe pod because he has so much ripe ones in front of him. And the same thing goes for the nutmeg, that if you have to look for the big seeds, the good quality, those that are not white or whatever to take to the pool. Or if you pick up rotten seeds, then at the pool they grade them too. And then what you send in the bag to any countries, what is of yourself, because once it gets there and it's not of the quality, it has bad image on you, and you have to pay penalties for sending bad beans or bad nutmeg seeds to any country. I know that very, very well. So and in some case they'll send it back to you. Some years ago they sent back some cocoa beans to Trinidad that they felt had some impurities.
We are looking at the future of both organizations, the cocoa and the nutmeg. I could remember talking to some students at the RC School in Grenada and at Butch Grove, and they express a lot of interest in nutmeg and cocoa too, right? Let us assume that the young people do not take up the mantle from the old people, because we are going out and they are coming in. Mm-hmm. If these young people do not take up the mantle of nutmeg and cocoa, how do you see the future of these two organizations?
Well, not if, Mike, they will have to take up the mantle. I mean, I saw a lot of positive in terms of the last 3 weeks by, wet cocoa, the number of young people who come to sell cocoa. So that means there is a response out there. And there are some young people too who are involved in nutmeg. Well, maybe it's not theirs, but they work. What has to happen is that, I guess if someone shows interest, like you have lands, Mike, and your son is showing interest, you will not be afraid to let him enjoy the benefits, so that in terms of tenure he knows that this would be his, and we have to be careful too in terms of the future. The future would be bright. I mean, like, loads of nutmeg plants and cocoa plants has been given out. That the last crop here we have recorded the highest bit of nutmeg since Hurricane Ivan. So things are beginning to look up. If hurricanes follow a pattern again, maybe in the next 50 years, that your generation and my generation would see the fruits of our labor. So I have no doubt. This, some places there are a lot of nutmegs on trees. Some places the crop may not be as heavy. Nutmeg follow a pattern. Maybe if it be heavy this year, it may not be heavy the next year. I'm subject to correction on that.
That's true. Yeah,
but
it depends on the location.
But there is renewed interest from a number of people who they want their cocoa book, they want their this. Every now and then. As a matter of fact, I have to respond to the association, to people who call for card in St. Patrick's. But as I said, cocoa has been keeping me busy, Mike. Even this morning, you had to wait on me to make sure that we fulfill that. But the future looks bright for both of those organizations, Mike.
That's very good, because when you're talking foreign exchange.
Sure. As a matter of fact, as I speak, you know very well that every cocoa bean that is procured, that is fermented and dry, can be sold. And if not sold, we have the chocolate factory. But I'm just letting you know that all the cocoa beans, so even all the plants we plan to give out, there is room. I mean, 5-6 million pounds of cocoa is not too much for us to work with and satisfy the markets and what we're trying to do.
How much for plants at the moment?
$1 for both plants.
For nutmeg and cocoa?
Yeah. And I would say even in the high belt, Mike, like Brudge Grove, Spring Gardens, all these places, the way the rainfall is always there. People want to plant the nutmeg, they're able to obtain the nutmeg plants.
Okay, but Mathias, we have been talking for some time. You may want to give us a final word, final advice to the farmers on how to do the cocoa and both nutmegs so that we can secure the market competitively.
Yeah. Well, every farmer needs to follow the norms. So in other words, your sanitation practices, make sure that you feel clean free from rats, from whatever pest or disease. The nutmeg farmer should start taking long twigs from his trees, because if you have a nutmeg field, Mike, and you're prune to the moon, then it means that 12 moons would have to come before you whatever. But you do what you have to do and you start on time. And don't rod the nutmeg when there is flowers on it. Mr. Courtney shared that with us. And though, because you end up beating the nutmeg, and then you might get a nutmeg seed that is not looking well or not able to export. And every farmer should pride himself that he has something good. Gold and diamond. Cocoa is diamond, nutmeg is gold. That you're able to reap the labors of your forefathers. I mean, nutmeg oil. Nutmeg is used in every industry. People are cooking with nutmeg now. People are doing so much things with, And Mike, one of those things that we really need is research. Some stamps is a student, somebody at the university, Kadi, Aika, somebody should come in the fore and help. I said 3 times, help with the research of it.
Somebody talked about research and development once.
Yes, well, there is need to do that. I mean, there is need to take nutmeg to the heights that he has not been. And maybe some son or daughter should really become a nutmeg scientist or cocoa scientist in terms of. And there is help. People like Mr. Hasik and maybe Mr. Klein, Mr. Courtney, Dr. Guido Marcel, a number of people, Mr. Dennis Mel, all these people and them would have advices, Mr. Cruikshank, Mr. Marcel Peters, all these people have information on cocoa, nutmeg, how you should do, And it's not about university information, the background information, layman information that could help you to get to where you want to go.
And you are calling for joint efforts.
Joint efforts, you know what I mean? We need, I know once Kadi was trying to help you with Rosalinia or something. Well, they need to take it beyond. I mean, what is it that we have, the university, and what is this, those things that every time you research, research, they must be able to be in the vanguard of those things.
And we have a university done right here, St. George University.
Somebody should hear our cry, or clarion call, and really see what can happen in this vein.
Okay, but Keto, Mathias Joseph, I don't know why I say Keto. I know a Keto. We have a Keto in GCNA, that's the chairman. So I custom with that chairman, Leo. So final word.
Well, I wish farmers luck. Harvest your cocoa, harvest your nutmeg, keep your field clean, have your fertilizer, apply them, and have a good crop and a good season.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mathias.
Okay, thank you, Mike, and farmers.
That was Mathias Joseph of the Grenada Cocoa Association, and I am Mike Noel reporting.
If you want your country prosper, go plant more nutmeg and banana.